Once you have a new slab made, what we're going to do is make sure that your clay pot fits on your slab. So we're going to set that on there and cut the shape for the base or the bottom of the pot. So what I'm going to do is go up next to this, hopefully you can see it, and I'm going to just kind of draw. I'm not actually going to cut, I'm just going to draw around it where the pot is going to sit. Now that I have that shape, that's going to be the shape of this base. So now I can go ahead and cut that out. I want to stay a little bit to the outside of it. So if I'm a little bit bigger, that's okay. I'm going to stay a little bit to the outside. Again, using a good cutting tool. Don't make sure that you're not just using a pointy tool or a rounded edge tool. I want a nice knife-like cutting tool. So I can set this aside. And now I have my base. If you need to smooth it out or want to do anything, that's fine. We want to make sure that it's not too thin. That's a pretty good thickness for the base. Now, what I'm going to do is score where this edge is going to meet around this edge. So I'm going to score it. Remember, that is marking, roughing up the edges. So I'm going to score right along the side. You can use your pointy tool for this, can work out fine. You can use your knife-like tool. I kind of like to crisscross them, but we're just going to score that edge. Another great tool, if you have one, is a fork, because it'll score a lot all at once. Again, I'm careful not to cut into my clay too much. I don't want to weaken it and just roughing the edge. Now, because I'm going to be joining this part to the clay, I also need to score the bottom. So I rough it up. Now I'm going to put my slip on, clay and water mix, get it into those cracks. Softening the clay, making it a good surface to join. A little bit on here. I want to be careful that I'm not just smoothing out. You don't want to rub too hard and smooth out your scoring. So now, if I didn't change the shape of it, these should fit pretty closely together. So now I'm going to press down a little bit to make sure that those are joining. I want to make sure I'm joined on the scored part, and I'm pressing the bottom on the edges back against the clay. Now you can see I have an extra little bit. I can come back and trim that edge right off of there. So I'm going to do that around the sides, trim off a little bit of that extra clay, pressing against my hand so not to take the bottom off of the pot. As I do that, I can also smooth this side out and join those a little bit better. Again, you can see I have a little bit of a lip there, so I'm going to trim that off against my finger. Set it off to the side and smooth those together. See that lip? Trimming off the lip. And joining those together. The final thing is just to check your craftsmanship. Make sure we don't have a huge gap. Make sure that the bottom is smooth. We want it to look really nice and neat. Now if you have any places that are still kind of rough, come back over and smooth those out. Make sure this is nice and smooth. And now you have a nice slab pot. The final step is if you want to add any details, any decorations. We could squeeze a little bit if I wanted to add a little bit of a texture in there. And we'll talk a little bit more about some of the details and things that we can add on. Just make sure your base is joined smoothly and neatly and not too thin.